So this past weekend, that Southern girl Lacy, who is the preeminent swinger lifestyle influencer, and swingersociety.net, which is the one of the largest organizers of lifestyle events in the country, came together to host a weekend of parties at Miami Velvet, and I decided to go. Hi, my name is Diana, and I'm a 43-year-old Iranian single woman, and I document my dating stories here on YouTube. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and more explicit versions of my stories are available on my OnlyFans. If you go to my homepage, under the channel description, you'll see links, beacons links, and you can click through to join my OF. So I'd actually been there before. I had gone to their orientation night. So I told you guys in my swinger videos, there's two parts because I went twice. The first time I went with a date, and the second time I went alone. So again, the first time I went to the sex club was alone. They actually host a tour of the club every Friday night at 9 o'clock before the club opens to the public, which I think is very smart. So I decided to take advantage of the opportunity and take a look around that facility. The tour was hosted by the owner, a woman, I don't remember her name, and a security guard who translated everything into Spanish. And it was very well done. She was very informative. She answered all the questions, and some of the areas had been renovated. So I think like the shower room had been renovated and some other areas had been renovated. So I'm gonna break this down. I'm gonna explain how the club is laid out, and then I'm gonna talk about how I ended up there on Saturday night, and then the couple I met, what went down, and then my overall thoughts of the event and the club. So when you walk in, there's a dance floor with stripper poles and a DJ booth. This club is also BYOB. So there was a bar wrapped around on your right hand side, and on your left hand side there was areas for VIP tables. If you pass the VIP tables and turn left, you see a hallway. To the right of the hallway, you get to the locker rooms, the showers, and then the towels only area. You can't walk in the back area with street clothes on. You have to disrobe. Across the hall from that section are private rooms. So some of the rooms are kind of adjoining. So there's a wall with a window so people can peek in on each other. If you go back to the main dance floor and you're facing the DJ booth, behind the DJ booth is another corridor. And that's where there's a BDSM room that's equipped with floggers and whips and stuff like that, a cage, and a horse, like a wooden horse to straddle and do stuff with, and like leather chairs and leather couches. And then further down is another dance floor with another DJ booth. And then there are several platform beds flushed against the wall. So I think there were maybe about like 8 beds and a few couches. So the place was very big, and there were a lot of options of things to do. So during the tour, I found it very informative. I was like, oh, okay, this place is very exciting, because as I explained, the swinger club was 2 rooms. There was a dance floor with the buffet and several bars, and then the locker rooms, and then the towel only area. So it was quite small. It's about maybe a third of the size of the sex club. So I had planned, I tempted myself to go on Friday night, which is single guys night. But then I ended up staying home and binge watching season 3 of Dubai Bling. I'm Middle Eastern. What do you want from me? Ibrahim toch kheli bad jinsi. And so I said to myself, you know what? I have plans to go out on Saturday night anyway with a girlfriend. We plan to go salsa dancing. So I was like, after that, on my way home, I'll stop by the sex club and check it out. They also had an event at Hollover Beach. So Lacy and Swinger Society had a weekend of events planned. Friday night, they had the single men's night. Saturday during the day, they had an event at Haulover Beach. I love Haulover Beach. I was very tempted to go, but I had a family event to do instead. And then Saturday night, they had another party, a club event. So my last shot was to go on Saturday night. So I was like, I'm definitely have to go. So I got there. I went dancing, salsa dancing with my girlfriend. That was fun. So it seems like I have a routine for this sort of thing. Before we went salsa dancing, we went and got drinks at Hillstone on Miracle Mile. So it seems like I like to sit down at a steakhouse, have a glass of wine, warm myself up, then go to a club. And so we danced, and then I said goodbye to my friend, and then I headed over to the club. There was a line, and they kept telling people, if you have prepaid tickets, come to the front. So I quickly went on the website, bought my ticket, and went to the front of the line. They let me right in, and I saw the owner who had given the tour there at the door. And I said to her, hi, how are you? I doubt she remembered me, but she gave me a hug and said, hey, how are you? And the two cashiers who were there the night of the tour were there that night as well. So again, I'm starting to see familiarity. I'm starting to see the staff is consistent. So what do you want from me? I have a background in hospitality, 20 years operations and event planning. I'm going to pick up on these things. So I walk in, and there were probably about, I would say at that point, maybe 400 people there. About 400 people there. It was scattered. Everybody was scattered. So the place is much larger than Trapeze. At Trapeze, everybody's in one room, scoping each other out. And it kind of works because it feels crowded, and you're bumping into people, and there's much more opportunity to get some eye contact going with somebody. But at Velvet, it's much more spread out, and the crowd, even though there might be hundreds of people there, can kind of look sparse in certain areas. So I walked around. I was scoping out the crowd. I scoped out the different rooms. I didn't see much going on. So on the tour, I said to her, I said to the lady, the owner, I said to her, I've been to Trapeze. What's the difference between this place and Trapeze? And she said, Trapeze is a swinger club, we're a sex club. And it became pretty evident by their offerings that it is a sex club. You can go there to do BDSM stuff, or shower, or watch other people. It makes sense. And she said that, so I said, okay, so there is no like towel only area where you can't wear street clothes. She said there is in the back, and that's where they keep the single men on Friday night. So the single men are not allowed to mingle on Friday nights with the rest of the crowd. They're sequestered in the towels only section. She said, but you can have sex anywhere in the club. So I was like, oh, okay. So I was expecting, when I went on Saturday, I was expecting to see people start to disrobe and have sex everywhere. You know, like my fantasy of the Roman orgy, like this, you know. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So I was trying to figure out why. Because I also noticed simultaneously that Lacy was there, and she had the area behind the DJ booth. So there was a special section back there, and her people were there. I think she was there with about like 10 or 12 other people, maybe like 5 or 6 other couples. And then there was I noticed the scattering of people. And like I said, the first time I went to Trapeze, it was 50% white folks. And that was because of a swinger cruise that was was gonna embark or disembark in the next couple days. So there was a lot of white folks in town. And she had managed to pull a lot of white folks in town for this event because there were a lot of white folks there. You could just tell these are not people that you see in Miami. These are people that had flown in from out of state or driven from other parts of the state to come and see this woman or attend this event, which is great. I think that's great. She has that kind of pull, and I think that's great. As a hospitality operations and event planning expert, I would have set up like a step and repeat they had a 360 camera type of thing, but it didn't seem to make sense to have it outside where people had to step out of line to enjoy it. That should have been either inside, or there should have been a step and repeat at the cashier spot with her and her husband there greeting people and giving them a photo op as they walked in. I thought that would have been cool. Then again, she is in a sensitive industry. Maybe she doesn't want people getting too close to her without her consent. So that's a iffy situation there. But I did cross paths with her at one point. She did smile. She's a very pretty girl. She got a Latin booty. That is not a white girl booty. That's a Latin booty. She was very cute. Her crew was, they seemed to like be very close, very tight knit. And so she was cool. She was great. I didn't see anybody specifically from Swinger Society there. I don't know who they were supposed to be or what was supposed to be going on there. I didn't see anything about that. So there were 2 stripper poles on the main dance floor. There were dancers on there, not stripping, but dancing. And again, great performance, great show, but I feel like there could have been more done to hype the crowd up. Like I remember when I worked at nights, we used to get those cryo tanks, and whenever Welcome to the Jungle came on, the bartenders had to get up on the bar and turn on the tanks. I think it was that song. And it created like a loudness and an excitement in the crowd. And I thought it would have been cool if they had done that while the dancers were dancing, and then had those guns that shoot out dollar bills. You get fake dollar bills or fake hundreds, and you shoot them up in the air, and then suddenly they're sprinkling from the sky all around you. It creates an atmosphere. It creates fun. And because the place is so big and patches, there's people like congregating in certain patches, and in some areas that are kind of empty, it can make the space feel fuller. Anywho, that's just like from my heyday. So did I meet anybody? Of course I did. So I was walking around, scoping out the crowd. I was kind of like, this might be hit or miss. I said, just chill out, wait till people get some more drinks in them, and just vibe. So there was a BDSM room. I headed to the BDSM room mainly because I saw a leather armchair with an ottoman, and I wanted to sit down and check my socials and hang out for a little bit. There was a couple sitting over here to my left on a couch, and then another couple walked in, and the gentleman introduced himself to everybody. Hi, my name's George. Hi, my name's George. Hi, my name's George. Like an older looking gentleman, and he was there with his female partner, and they were very nice and affable. And then she went and grabbed this like these wristbands from the wall, and she positioned herself, and she had on a leather skirt, and he grabbed like a flogger or one of those long like whips and started hitting her buttocks with the skirt on it. And I'm watching them, and I got so turned on. I was so surprised. I'm sitting there getting turned on, and then surprised that I'm getting turned on. I don't know if it was the sound of the leather on the leather. I don't know if it was how he did it. I don't know what it was, but it turned me the hell on. I was like, whoa, I'm getting turned on. So they finished and they walked out. So then I got up and I'm like, okay, I need to find somebody. I need to find someone. So I went and used the restroom, and I came back out, and I stood in a different area of the club against the wall. The walls were padded, so they were comfortable to lean up on. And people were walking by, so I was able to start checking some people out. And I saw a black couple, and I saw her and I saw him, and he was like nicely built, very good looking face, I made eye contact with him, and then I turned back to look at her to see like her figure, how she looked. And I made eye contact with the couple that was standing against the wall next to me. And I just kind of like smiled because I was like, I got busted checking out this other couple. And then he approaches me. He says, "Are you alone here?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm here alone." And he goes, "It's pretty brave of you to come here alone." I was like, "Well, I've done it. I've done it a couple times now." And I looked at him, and my first impression was that he looked like Daniel Craig, 007. Blonde hair, green eyes, very good looking, great body. And I was like, how did I not notice them before? Where were they this whole time? So he says, "Are you bisexual?" And I said, "It depends." And he goes, "On what?" And I said, "On the mood." Now, I don't care for performative bisexuality, especially by women, because I find that it's disingenuous, and it's not, I mean, I'm not here to judge or lecture anybody on how to do their thing, but I had that experience with the first couple at Trapeze where she was very into it when her man was in the room, but then when he left, she would just complain about their relationship and told me her sad story. So I'm pretty sure I scoffed and asked her, "Are you bisexual?" And she immediately retorted like, "Yes, I'm very bisexual. I'm very into girls." And then I realized what was really happening. I chilled out and I realized what was really happening. He was recruiting girls for her. It wasn't like at Trapeze where the girl was recruiting girls for her man. He was recruiting girls for his girl. So then I took a look at her, very attractive, dark hair. She looked like Rachel Weisz. So Daniel Craig has a wife named Rachel Weisz, gorgeous woman, dark hair, light eyes. And I look at them and I'm like, this is a very good looking couple. So we chit-chatted, and then they had their little tete-a-tete, and then they asked me if I wanted to play, and I said, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm here to play. I'll play with you guys. So she led the way. She led the way, and she said she wanted to go to a private room. So the place was, we could have gone anywhere. We could have gone to the BDSM room if that was what they were into. We could have gone to the area that had all the beds out in the open. She wanted to go to a private room. So we walked over to the private room. It was first come, first serve. So at Trapeze, you had to go get a key. But here it was first come, first serve. So we walked into a room. We found a room with a king-size bed. And we walked in and we see a window. And the girl even remarked, she's like, "Oh, there's a window." And we could see two couples in the other room playing. So I was like, "Oh, this is cool. This is this is different. This is also something different from Trapeze." So long story short, we all hooked up. Great experience. I'll go into detail on my OF, but great experience with this couple. These two were, I don't think I've met a couple in a very long time who were so on the same page. Like I can sniff out like dysfunction. I can sniff out toxicity and drama. I sensed nothing from these two. They had been married for 20 years. They'd had children. They had normal jobs, normal lives. It was clear that they valued tradition in terms of family values, like getting married, having a heterosexual marriage, raising children, and doing this sort of thing. It was just sexually, they wanted to do things their own way, her way. Like she said that she had been very open with him from the beginning of their relationship, that she was into women. She had been into women before she married him, and that she'd always been into women, and this was something he accepted about her. It wasn't something that he tried to change about her. It's something that they worked on with each other. So these two were probably the most compatible couple I've ever met in my life, really. Like the vibe there was this. Like they were connected. They clicked. And that was really nice to be in. That was like a really nice energy to be in. I was like, oh wow, these two are so lucky they found each other. Like these two are it. They're the pinnacle of what this kind of lifestyle could look like. So she shared a couple of interesting details with me. She said that they had had a girlfriend for 2 years. So they shared a girlfriend with each other for 2 years. Now I didn't get into the details of like, how did you work that around the kids or whatever? That's none of my business. But she just said that they had a girlfriend for 2 years. And the way she said it sounded like it was something that had made her very contented and happy. And that's wonderful. That sounded wonderful. And then she said something that was interesting. She said that they had met a couple. They meet couples online and that sort of thing. And they had met a couple. And the woman in the couple felt too intimidated by their attractiveness, like by their hotness, by their looks, to proceed with hooking up with them. She said that the lady said something to the effect of like, I'm not going to feel good about myself around you two. I'm not going to feel secure enough to enjoy myself around you two. And I thought that was really incredibly sad. Like my heart is breaking for this person that I don't even know, who denied herself a great experience with a couple who would have been the best people to have that experience with. Because those two are so firm in their connection. It was wonderful. It was very inspiring. It was wonderful to see. At least that was my interpretation. Like I said, I didn't pick up on any toxicity between the two of them, or any discord, or any vibes, like any negative vibes. It just flowed. Like it seemed to just flow with them. So they were great. They were really, really great. After we were done, we went our separate ways, and I went back to the BDSM room because I wanted to see if like anybody was doing anything unusual or unique there, to see if it would turn me on again. But I didn't see anything. There's two couples that create content for the Miami Velvet Instagram account. And I saw them there. I saw them walking around earlier in the evening, and then they were in the BDSM room. And it was the two couples, and they were sitting on the wooden horse. I don't know what they were doing. I couldn't tell what they were doing. Like maybe somebody was getting fingered, and I know that they were making out with each other. They weren't really putting on a show because I didn't see anything like happening, but they were there. So again, there was some continuity. Like the people that you see on the Instagram account are actually creating content, are actually there at night. So that was like 3 for 3, you know what I mean? Lacy was cool. I saw the owner who gave the tour, and the Instagram couples. So that was good. But the only thing that threw me off in the evening was when I was in the BDSM room the second time, I was sitting again in a single armchair with an ottoman in front of me. I was just chilling out after this like incredible session that I had with that couple. And then this guy comes and sits next to me with a girl, and he grabs my wrist and he tries to pull me, and I yank my wrist away. And I'm like, excuse me. And he's like, come sit over here. I'm like, no. And he grabs my wrist again. I'm like, what the hell? He goes, come over here. I'm like, I'm fine where I am. Thank you. Like, what the fuck? I didn't go and talk to security about it or anything. I just figured the guy is a stupid oaf. Nobody taught him how to say hello, my name is. But, you know, so I kept walking around a little bit. Again, I'm expecting to see people orgiastically orgying everywhere. I didn't see it. So I left. I got there around 12 and I left at 2. I got home, took a shower, and went to bed. My only regret that night is not showering there. I should have showered there. They provide a towel and toiletries. I should have, when I was done with the couple, I should have gone, taken a shower, put back on my clothes, and came home and crawled into bed and gone to sleep. But it was great. It was a great experience. Would I go back? I mean, if the chances of meeting a couple like that again there, then yeah, of course. You know what? I would go back there with a date. I would go there with a date. I would go there with someone I was seeing. I think that could be a lot of fun to just kind of walk them around and be like, oh, hey, look at this whip. Ooh. Or like, oh, hey, look, there's a couple over there. Let's show off. Oh, so, so when we were in the room, there was this window. So I look through and I see two couples playing. And then they stopped what they were doing and they started to watch us. So every so often I would kind of like look over to see who was there. And it went from like one person to two people to three people to five. I remember looking up and just seeing faces. I thought I was hallucinating. I could still see them in my head. And then there was this one woman, she was staring at me and I'm staring at her. And then she left the room and came around and started banging on the door because she wanted to join us. We had the door locked. It was crazy. I think that the main difference besides the layout of the club would be the people that go there. I think the people that go to Velvet are a little wilder and kookier and crazier than the people that go to Trapeze. That's what I think. Based on my experience. Because the couple I hooked up with were not from Florida. So, and I asked them, I said, do you go to clubs in your state? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, what do you think is better laid out? And they said, this one for sure, the Miami one for sure. That was kind of cool to hear. So if you went to the event, let me know. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I had a great time. I would go back for shits and giggles. Different energy, different atmosphere, but the place is amazing. Like everything it offers is very cool. So I hope you enjoyed my story. You know where to find me for more exclusive content, and I'll be back soon with some more funny stories. I'm gonna do funny bedroom fails next. I talk to you soon.